Okay, so this is our newest kind of problem. It can be called a work problem or a rate problem. So I'll start by reading it out. It takes Arjun 15 hours to pick 40 bushels of apples. Asanji can pick the same amount in 8 hours. So he can pick the same amount of apples in 8 hours. How long would it take them if they worked together? So we're going to assume that when they're working together, they don't work any faster or slower than when they're working on their own. So to solve this problem, first we're going to find the rate. So it's going to be the rate that they pick apples when they're working together. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to write this one in blue because I'll be working it out in blue, is find the time. Working together, how long does it take Arjun and Asanji to pick 40 bushels of apples? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down our two rates. So rate number 1 is Arjun can pick 40 bushels in 15 hours. Okay, so then we have our second rate, R2. So Asanji can pick the same amount, so he'll pick 40 bushels in 8 hours. So to make these numbers easier to work with and to realize how good Asanji is at picking apples, let's simplify these fractions. 40 and 15 both have a common factor of 5, so I'm going to write this as 8 bushels in 3 hours. Okay. 40 and 8 both have a common factor of 8. So I'm going to rewrite that as 5 bushels in 1 hour. Okay, so a bushel is like a giant basket of apples. So that means Asanji is picking 5 giant baskets in an hour. So here's a picture. Look at this. This minivan has 6 bushels of apples. So not a little bit more than Asanji can pick in an hour. That's a lot of apples. Every hour he gets that many apples. Every hour he picks 5 bushels of apples. Okay, so let's find out, working together, how fast do Arjun and Asanji pick apples. So together that would be R1 plus R2. So that would be 8 over 3 plus 5 over 1. So we want a common denominator here, so I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 3. With our common denominator, we have 8 thirds plus 15 thirds, which is equal to 23 thirds. So that's 23 bushels of apples are picked every 3 hours by our dynamic duo, Arjun and Asanji. So we found the rate. Now we're going to go ahead and find the time. So take a minute, write this down if you haven't already. Whoosh! Okay, so now I'm going to start writing in blue. We're going to be finding the time. So how long would it take them if they worked together? We know how fast they pick apples, so we want to know at a rate of 23 bushels every 3 hours. How long until 40 bushels are picked? we can rewrite this question as 23 over 3 times what is equal to 40. So this right here, this x, is however many hours they'll have to spend. So to get the x by itself, we multiply both sides by the reciprocal of this. So times 3 over 23 times 3 over 23. Alright, so these are going to cancel out to be 1. So we're going to end up with x equals 120 over 23. Or 5.22. Answering our question, how long does it take? 5.22 hours. Alright, so quick recap. You find the rate for each person by dividing the amount of work that they do by the amount of time it takes them. Then you add the two rates together to find their rate when they're working together. You take the rate, which is how quickly the work gets done, and you multiply it by the amount of time that's spent. So, since you don't know how much time is spent, we write a variable like x. And you set that equal to how much work has to get done in total. You solve for the time, and that'll give you your answer.